The Obama administration has steered away from No Child Left Behind, trying to find a way to reform the education system. Schools and educating the nation's kids are topics that are leading the 2012 presidential campaign. Each candidate has his or her own ideas for education reform. Some want the federal government to butt out, while others argue states need to follow more mandates to make sure kids are getting the best education. Here to talk about education reform and what needs to happen next is Frank Bryant, founder of the D.C. nonprofit Free My City. Frank, you were a college dropout. Now you have degrees from 3 universities. Congratulations on that. What happened?
Well, I had to focus. In the inner city, a lot of times we're distracted easily because it's a lot that goes on in the communities that have nothing to do with academics. So you have to at times focus solely on academics, despite what's going on at home.
What finally got you to focus?
Well, I wanted to do better for myself. You know, I lost friends, family members to violence and things outside of school. And I saw that in order for me to better my community, I had to first start with myself.
Your story from 5, 10, 15 years ago sounds exactly what we would be hearing tonight from kids in the city.
Yes, sir.
And other places around the country. We've got reports of shootings. We see this every night, the tragic waste that's going on with young people. You know, some of us think that there's a certain point where there's no hope for them.
Yes, sir.
That if you don't get these kids by the age of 7 and 8, by the time they're in their teens, just forget about them. What would you say about that?
Yes, sir. It's a staggering statistic that drove me to kind of like work in this field. And my mother growing up, my mother was a teacher for 25 years, and my father was the captain of the juvenile delinquent Oak Hill, the place that housed the students,
right.
You know, kids from the jail, from DC. And they say now, Forbes.com reported that if you don't know how to read by the 3rd grade, they're getting a bed ready for you in the prison. So it's like, that drove me to want to make a change.
How do you get through to these kids? I know you talk to them. There's a lot of people that want to talk to them, from peaceaholics to everybody else. How do you get through for them to do the right thing? Is the peer pressure so strong? Do they find easier ways out with doing drugs rather than going to school? Because there are instant fixes. You can make more money selling drugs than you can doing anything. How do you get through to them?
Well, we came up with something we like, edutainment. When we combine entertainment and education, we try to get their attention. And first, we try to figure out what type of learner each child is. You know, that's something that, working as a teacher, I've noticed that some teachers in the District of Columbia, we kind of gotten away from. All kids don't learn the same. It's not the same mode for every child. So we have to figure out what it is that captures that child's attention and use that to educate our children.
Tell me more about your own education. You went to 3 different colleges. Tell me about that.
Well, I started out, even before then, I went to 6 elementary schools, 2 different high schools. I went 2 middle schools and then 2 different high schools. And I went to more than 3 colleges. I still didn't have it together by the time I got to college. It wasn't until I came home and saw that there was a huge problem in our community before I went back to school.
You're trying to do something about it, and this weekend there's an event going on. Tell me about it.
We have the National Enlightenment Walk for Education Reform in America. We call it the New Era Walk for short, because ultimately we believe that we need a new era in education. We're walking from the U.S. Department of Education to the National Mall. It's a celebration. No one's doing anything wrong, but we all can do better.
You've got our support. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Any life you save out there is one more than a lot of people would expect, so keep up the good work.
Thank you very much,
All
sir.
right, thank you. Frank Bryant, our guest on Cap Insider.